The relationship between Canada and the United States has long been one of close allies and dependable partners. A shared border, intertwined economies and common values have forged a bond built on mutual respect and cooperation. However, recent years have witnessed a dramatic and concerning shift in this dynamic, as the Trump administration's policies have driven a wedge between the two nations. At the heart of this growing divide lies a series of contentious trade disputes. The Trump administration's imposition of tariffs on Canadian steel and aluminum, under the guise of national security concerns, struck a blow to the Canadian economy and ignited resentment north of the border. These tariffs, widely viewed as unjustified and protectionist, signaled a departure from the spirit of free trade that has long characterized the Canada-US relationship. Adding fuel to the fire, Trump's personal attacks on Canadian Prime Minister Justin Trudeau further strained relations. Disparaging remarks, often delivered via Twitter, created a climate of disrespect and eroded trust between the two leaders. What was once a predictable and mutually beneficial partnership has become fraught with uncertainty and tension, leaving Canadians questioning the future of their relationship with their southern neighbor. Faced with what it perceives as aggressive and unfair actions by the Trump administration, Canada has adopted a posture of resolute defiance. No longer content to absorb economic blows or turn a blind eye to insults, Canada has chosen to respond in kind, deploying targeted economic measures designed to inflict pain on the U.S. economy. One of Canada's most potent weapons in this economic standoff has been its ability to leverage its position as a major source of tourism to the United States. Canadians, once eager visitors to U.S. destinations, have dramatically curtailed their travel south of the border. This decline in tourism, estimated to be as high as 40 to 50%, represents a significant loss of revenue for U.S. businesses, particularly those in the hospitality, retail, and entertainment sectors. Beyond tourism, Canada has implemented retaliatory tariffs on a range of U.S. goods, targeting industries strategically selected to maximize economic pressure. These tariffs, while presented as a necessary response to U.S. actions, have the potential to disrupt supply chains and increase costs for American consumers. Canada's decision to engage in economic retaliation is not taken lightly. It represents a calculated gamble, a recognition that the potential costs of inaction, both economic and reputational, outweigh the risks associated with standing up to a powerful ally. The stakes are high, but Canada is determined to defend its interests. The economic consequences of Canada's retaliatory measures are beginning to reverberate throughout the U.S. economy, particularly in industries reliant on Canadian tourism and trade. From bustling cities to quiet border towns, businesses are feeling the pinch as Canadian dollars stop flowing across the border. The tourism industry, a major driver of economic activity in many parts of the United States, has been particularly hard hit. Hotels, resorts, and amusement parks that once relied on a steady stream of Canadian visitors are now grappling with empty rooms, vacant tables, and dwindling profits. The ripple effects of this decline in tourism are being felt throughout local economies as businesses dependent on tourist spending, from restaurants and shops to transportation services, struggle to stay afloat. Beyond tourism, U.S. businesses that export goods to Canada are facing challenges as a result of Canadian tariffs. These tariffs, designed to make U.S. goods more expensive for Canadian consumers, are forcing American companies to choose between absorbing the added costs, raising prices, or losing market share. None of these options are appealing, and many businesses are left feeling caught in the crossfire of a trade war they did not start. The economic pain inflicted by Canada's retaliatory measures is not limited to large corporations. Small businesses, the backbone of the U.S. economy, are particularly vulnerable to disruptions in trade and tourism. These businesses, often operating on thin margins, have less capacity to absorb losses and are more likely to be forced to lay off workers or even shut down entirely. Canada's decision to stand up to the Trump administration's aggressive trade policies has not gone unnoticed on the world stage. Other nations, long accustomed to the United States' dominant role in global affairs, are watching closely, taking note of Canada's willingness to challenge the status quo and defend its interests. Canada's actions have emboldened other countries facing similar challenges from the Trump administration. The European Union, for example, has responded to U.S. tariffs on steel and aluminum with retaliatory tariffs of its own, targeting iconic American products like Harley-Davidson motorcycles and Kentucky bourbon. This coordinated response from major U.S. trading partners suggests a growing willingness to push back against what is perceived as bullying tactics. Beyond economic measures, Canada's stance has also inspired a wave of international solidarity. From protests in European capitals to editorials in influential newspapers, there is a sense that Canada's fight is about more than just trade. It is a fight for the rules-based international order that has underpinned global peace and prosperity for decades. By standing up for its principles and refusing to be bullied, Canada has set an example for other nations seeking to navigate the turbulent waters of the Trump era. A House-divided internal backlash against Trump grows. As the economic consequences of Trump's trade wars begin to hit home, a growing chorus of voices within the United States is raising concerns about the wisdom of his approach. From farmers struggling to sell their crops to manufacturers facing higher input costs, the negative impacts of these policies are becoming increasingly difficult to ignore. Business groups, traditionally aligned with the Republican Party, have been among the most vocal critics of Trump's trade policies. The U.S. Chamber of Commerce, a powerful lobbying group representing millions of American businesses, has warned that tariffs are a tax on American consumers and businesses and could lead to job losses and slower economic growth. The agricultural sector, a key pillar of the U.S. economy, has been particularly hard hit by retaliatory tariffs from China and other trading partners. Soybean farmers, for example, have seen their exports to China plummet, leading to lower prices and financial hardship. Many farmers, once staunch supporters of Trump, are now questioning whether his policies are doing more harm than good. A recent poll found that a majority of Americans believe that tariffs are bad for the U.S. economy. This suggests that the political costs of these policies could be significant. Trump's response, a cocktail of denial and deflection. Faced with mounting evidence that his trade policies are backfiring, Trump has responded with a characteristic mix of denial, deflection, and bluster. Rather than acknowledge the negative consequences of his actions, he has doubled down on his rhetoric, insisting that trade wars are easy to win and that other countries are to blame for the economic pain being felt by American businesses and consumers. Trump's preferred platform for disseminating this message remains Twitter, where he regularly lashes out at trading partners, accuses them of unfair practices, and threatens to impose even more tariffs. These pronouncements, often made without consultation with economic advisors or foreign leaders, create uncertainty and volatility in global markets, further undermining business confidence. When confronted with criticism of his trade policies, Trump often resorts to personal attacks and ad hominem arguments. He has labeled Canadian Prime Minister Justin Trudeau weak and dishonest, while accusing the European Union of being worse than China on trade. This approach, while appealing to his base of support, does little to advance constructive dialogue or resolve complex economic disputes. The Canadian spirit, a nation united in resistance. In the face of unrelenting pressure from the Trump administration, Canadians have responded with a remarkable display of unity and resolve. Across the political spectrum, there is a shared sense of outrage at the treatment Canada has received from its closest ally, and a determination to stand up for Canadian values and interests. Public opinion polls consistently show overwhelming support for the Canadian government's decision to retaliate against U.S. tariffs. Canadians, long accustomed to being overshadowed by their southern neighbor, have found their voice on the world stage, articulating a vision of a more just and equitable global trading system. This newfound assertiveness is not limited to the halls of power. Ordinary Canadians have also embraced the spirit of resistance, organizing boycotts of U.S. goods and donating to charities supporting workers affected by the trade dispute. While determined to defend its interests, Canada has also avoided escalating the conflict unnecessarily, choosing its battles carefully and maintaining open lines of communication with the United States. The road ahead, predicting the unpredictable. Predicting the future course of the Canada-US trade dispute is a fool's errand, as so much depends on the unpredictable whims of Donald Trump. However, there are a number of factors that will shape the trajectory of this conflict in the months and years to come. One key variable is the state of the U.S. economy. Suppose the economy continues to grow at a healthy pace. In that case, Trump may feel emboldened to maintain his aggressive trade policies, believing that the United States can withstand any short-term pain. However, if the economy slows or enters a recession, Trump may come under increasing pressure to strike deals with trading partners, including Canada. However, there is a greater chance that the United States will adopt a more conciliatory stance, potentially resolving the trade dispute with Canada. Finally, the actions of other countries will also play a role in shaping the outcome of the Canada-US trade dispute. If other countries, particularly those in the European Union and Asia, continue to push back against Trump's trade policies, it will be more difficult for the United States to isolate Canada and achieve its objectives. A call to action. The fight for fairness continues. The trade dispute between Canada and the United States is about more than just tariffs and trade deficits. It is a microcosm of the challenges facing the global trading system in the 21st century, as countries grapple with the forces of globalization, technological change, and rising inequality. At its core, this dispute is about fairness. It is about ensuring that the benefits of trade are shared more equitably among all segments of society, not just a select few. It is about creating a level playing field where all countries, regardless of their size or economic might, have the opportunity to compete and prosper. The outcome of this dispute will have profound implications for the future of the global trading system. If the United States continues to pursue a unilateralist and protectionist approach, it risks undermining the rules-based order that has underpinned global prosperity for decades. However, if Canada and other like-minded countries can stand firm in their commitment to free and fair trade, they have the opportunity to build a more just and sustainable global economy. This will require courage, cooperation, and a willingness to challenge the status quo. The fight for a fairer global trading system is a fight worth having. Thank you for watching. Until next time, stay curious, stay intrigued, and see you in the next one.